There is a moment in every seeker's life when words stop working. You've prayed, affirmed, visualized, spoken your dreams into the air. But something in you still feels unheard. Not by others, but by life itself. And then one day you fall silent. Not out of defeat, but out of recognition. Because something deeper in you begins to understand that reality doesn't respond to noise. It responds to resonance. We've been taught that to manifest, we must speak it, claim it, repeat it. But the universe isn't waiting for your voice. It's listening to your energy. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat carries a frequency far stronger than any word you could ever say. And silence, true silence, is the space where that frequency becomes pure. It's not emptiness, it's alignment. It's where the language of God, of creation itself, is most fluent. When you are silent, you start hearing what has always been speaking to you, not in sentences, but in signals. The movement of the wind, the timing of events, the still intuition that tells you this is the moment. Silence is not a void. It's the meeting point between your intention and the intelligence that governs the universe. The more you speak about what you want, the more you reinforce that it isn't here yet. But when you stop trying to convince life and start to feel what already exists within you, something shifts. The field begins to move. Coincidences start to arrange themselves. You notice that you are not creating from noise. You are remembering what already belongs to you. Silence isn't a retreat, it's a return. It's the inner chamber where the soul stops begging and starts believing, because what you seek is not far away. It's simply waiting for you to be quiet enough to feel it. The power that moves in the void. We tend to fear silence. We treat it like an absence, a lack, a signal that nothing is happening. But the truth is, silence is where everything begins. Before the seed sprouts, it rests in silence. Before the breath, there's a still pause. Before light, darkness listened. And before a dream becomes form, there is always a space where the invisible starts to take shape. That space isn't empty. It's sacred. It's the blueprint. There's a divine intelligence moving beneath what we cannot yet see. Just because your desire hasn't arrived in the way your eyes can detect doesn't mean it isn't real. It means it's in the unseen stage, the stage where roots grow before branches appear, where foundations are laid in the invisible before doors open in the visible. This space, this pause, is not punishment, it's preparation. The void is misunderstood. It's the womb, not the grave. It's not the end, it's where form gestates. What you call delay may actually be divine architecture, rearranging people, places, and timing in a way your mind could never orchestrate. And it's your presence inside this apparent stillness that determines what emerges on the other side. This is why stillness is not passive. It's participatory. In silence, you're not doing nothing. You're aligning. You're feeding the unseen with trust. And that trust is the signal that tells the field, I'm ready now. Not ready because I've said it 1,000 times. Ready because I've stopped resisting what is. Ready because I'm no longer grasping for proof. Ready because I'm grounded in a deeper knowing. That life unfolds not when I push, but when I yield. The universe doesn't rush. It ripens. And when you learn to rest in the void without panic, without begging, without narrating your doubts, you enter a different current, a higher rhythm. The rhythm that governs tides, seasons, stars, and destinies. That rhythm has never been in a hurry, but it has always been precise. So what feels like silence is often the space where God is closest. The space between what was and what will be. Sacred, electric, alive. Stay there. Not with tension, but with reverence. Because something is growing where you think nothing exists. And when it's ready, it will rise through your reality like a sunrise no voice could summon. When you stop talking, you start feeling. Silence is often mistaken for absence, but silence is presence in its most concentrated form. It's not what's missing. It's what's finally uncovered when the noise fades. You don't need to explain yourself to the universe. You need to feel yourself into alignment with it. And that alignment doesn't come from words. It comes from the body, from sensation, from emotion that's no longer filtered through performance or explanation. When you stop talking, you create a space inside where something softer can emerge, a frequency that doesn't need to be said out loud to be heard. Have you noticed that the most important moments of your life were often wordless? That the truest love you ever felt didn't need to be described, that the loss you still remember the most left you speechless. Feeling doesn't begin in language. It begins in silence. And manifestation doesn't begin with statements, it begins with vibration. When you slow down enough to listen inwardly, your attention deepens. You notice the subtle shift in your breath, the quiet pull in your chest when something resonates, the tingling in your hands when something feels right. This isn't imagination. It's how the body communicates with the field. It's how your nervous system confirms that your desire isn't just a thought. It's an emotional experience already present in you. The more you allow that emotion to take up space, without words to filter or control it, the more magnetic you become. And that's the part no one teaches you. The frequency that manifests reality isn't an idea you chant. It's a state you feel. And feeling is not conceptual. It's cellular. It moves through the breath, the heartbeat, the way you walk, the way you sit, the way your body responds when you drop all performance and simply let yourself be. You can't fake this state. You can't pretend to feel aligned and expect the universe to believe you. But you can choose to pause, to breathe, to surrender the noise, and let the deeper truth surface, the one you already carry. That truth doesn't come through in affirmations. It doesn't need a script. It needs your presence. It needs your willingness to close your eyes and return home to the sensations that live beneath your thoughts. The world taught you to talk your way into reality, but reality responds more quickly when you feel your way into it. This is why silence is not passive. Here it's deeply alive. It's where the language of the body speaks fluently, through chills, tears, stillness, openings, contractions. It's where the frequency of your soul begins to organize the room, call in the opportunities, change the timing of events. Not because you asked, but because you aligned. Imagine walking into a sunrise without saying a word. Imagine standing in front of someone you love without needing to explain. Imagine closing your eyes, placing your hand on your heart, and feeling something already whole, already yours, already arrived. That is the most direct language the universe understands. That is prayer in motion. So the next time you want to declare your desire again, don't. Sit in it, sit with it. Let the desire take the shape of sensation, not words. Feel it unfold in your chest. Let it move through your skin. Let it wash over you like it already belongs to you. Because it does. And your silence gives it permission to take form. The silent surrender that moves mountains. There's a moment in every journey where speaking no longer helps, where asking, insisting, or affirming starts to feel like resistance. You've already declared it. You've already visualized it. You've already done the work. But the breakthrough won't come from doing more. It comes from letting go. Not of the dream, but of the grip. Surrender isn't weakness. It's intelligence. It's the knowing that you are not the one holding the universe together, and that you never were. It's trusting that there is a deeper current beneath your plans, a rhythm beyond your preferences, a divine order that moves when you stop forcing it. That's when silence becomes a portal. That's when surrender becomes a signal. In nature, nothing forces its way into existence. The tree doesn't demand to grow. The ocean doesn't argue with the tide. The stars don't shout their light into being. They just are. There's no need to push when you're aligned with the deeper intelligence that animates life itself. Manifestation is not an act of aggression. It's an act of alignment. And alignment often begins where control ends. But here's the paradox. Your ego believes silence is loss, that if you stop trying, you'll fall behind, that if you surrender, you'll lose everything you've fought for. But your soul knows something different. Your soul knows that surrender is not silence in defeat, it's silence in power. It's not the absence of movement, it's the presence of trust. This kind of silence doesn't mean you stop desiring. It means you stop arguing with divine timing. It means you stop negotiating with the unknown and start walking with it. It means you finally take your hands off the steering wheel and allow life to rearrange itself in your favor, without your constant interference. And in that surrender, something radical happens. You begin to witness movement without effort, coincidences that feel designed, paths opening that logic could never explain, people arriving exactly when you're ready to receive them. This is not magic. It's the natural result of energetic coherence. The moment your inner world stops contradicting itself, the outer world responds accordingly. So if you've been holding your breath, trying to make it happen, breathe out. If you've been repeating your affirmations with tension in your chest, stop. Sit in the stillness. Let the desire be felt without forcing it. Let the dream live without chasing it. Let yourself rest in the truth that what is yours can hear your silence more clearly than your words. The deepest manifestations don't come from declarations. They come from resonance. And resonance doesn't speak, it vibrates. The silence that aligns the universe. There's a moment when something clicks inside you, and the world outside begins to echo it. You didn't make a grand announcement. You didn't push harder or shout louder. You just aligned, quietly, silently. And suddenly the chaos began to clear. Not because you controlled it, but because you stopped interfering. This is the sacred function of silence. It calibrates your vibration to the frequency of what you desire. Not by effort, but by resonance. It's like tuning a stringed instrument. The moment one string is in harmony, the entire instrument begins to sound right. When your being, your thoughts, your body, your emotions, your breath, all hum the same note, the universe listens and responds. Intention in this way is not a thought, it's a tuning fork, a subtle signal sent into the field, not with words but with being, with presence, with coherence. It is not what you want that manifests. It is what you are in your quietest moments. Most people speak intentions they don't vibrate. They say, "I want peace," while carrying chaos in their breath. They say, "I want abundance," while leaking scarcity through every anxious heartbeat. The universe doesn't manifest what you say. It mirrors what you hold. And what you hold is most clearly revealed in silence. Silence strips away performance. It removes the mask of self-persuasion. It shows you what you're really broadcasting beneath the surface. That's why silence feels uncomfortable at first, because it reflects the misalignment between your desire and your state. But when you stay in that stillness, when you stay with the breath, the tension begins to dissolve. The noise begins to fade, and a deeper signal begins to emerge. You feel it as a soft coherence in your chest, a knowing without words, a quiet yes that doesn't need proof. In that moment, you're not trying to attract anything. You've become the magnet. You're not asking for alignment. You are alignment. And when you walk through life from this place, grounded, steady, silent, you notice the synchronicities return. The delays fall away. The meetings feel designed. You don't need to chase the current anymore because you've become the river. Alignment is not something you achieve. It's something you allow. It's not a task. It's a frequency, and silence is what lets you hear it. You're not separate from what you seek. You're just loud enough to forget the resonance. When you become quiet, the bridge forms between your breath and the field, between your desire and the design, between your heart and the hand of the divine. Silent manifestation rituals in daily life. Most people believe manifestation requires a grand performance, elaborate vision boards, long affirmations, or loud declarations to the universe. But the truth is quieter than that. The most powerful rituals aren't the ones you shout. They're the ones you feel, the ones you repeat without needing applause, the ones that happen in stillness again and again until they become who you are. Silence doesn't mean absence of action. It means intention woven into the smallest moments of your day. And when you begin to live like this, with sacred presence in the ordinary, you start to notice something remarkable. Reality bends faster. Life responds not because you forced it, but because you remembered how to feel it. In the morning before your mind begins to speak, feel. Don't reach for your phone. Don't reach for your to-do list. Just reach inward. Sit in bed for 1 minute with your hand on your heart. Whisper nothing. Simply breathe. Feel yourself choosing a new timeline. That is intention in motion, and it begins before you move. In the shower, don't just clean your body. Clear your frequency. Let the water wash away the grasping. Imagine it taking with it the tension, the fear, the doubt. See yourself stepping out of the stream not just dry, but recalibrated. This is not imagination, this is alignment. And the body believes what the mind repeats with feeling. As you eat, slow down. Bless your food in silence, not with a prayer you've memorized, but with presence. Look at it, smell it, touch it, thank it. Let your system understand. Abundance is already here. Receiving doesn't happen someday. It happens every time you stop to notice what's already arrived. And when life feels loud and you don't know what to do, stop doing. Sit, be still. Place one palm on your belly, one on your chest. Breathe as if what you desire has already been delivered. Don't try to make the feeling grow. Just listen to the part of you that already knows it's on the way. These rituals don't take hours. They don't require silence from the world, only silence within. One breath, one pause, one shift of awareness, that's enough, that's the door. Because manifestation isn't magic, it's memory, a return to the truth that you've always been connected. And in each of these quiet rituals, you're not performing for the universe. You're remembering that you're part of it. This is where silent manifestation begins, not in loud requests, but in soft repetitions of presence, not in convincing life to love you, but in feeling that it already does. And when these rituals are no longer something you do, but something you are, reality bends not because you demand it, but because you've become its echo. When you stop talking, life begins to whisper. There is a sound that only silence can hear. You may have missed it for years because the world taught you that silence meant something was wrong. That being quiet meant you were lost, unmotivated, disconnected. So you filled the space with noise, with explanations, with questions, with distractions, always doing, always narrating, always searching. But life doesn't speak in noise, it speaks in nudges, in the in-between moments, in the space between your thoughts. That's where guidance lives, not in the volume of your voice, but in the quiet of your being. When you stop talking, something extraordinary begins to happen. You start to notice the way the sunlight lands on the wall, the subtle shift in your breath when you're about to make a choice that's not aligned. You hear the pattern in the chaos, the rhythm in the randomness, and realize life has been whispering all along. You just couldn't hear it over the sound of your own effort. In silence, you attune, like a radio dial settling on a frequency just clear enough to hear a sacred song, one you didn't know you were longing for until it played. It doesn't scream, it hums, it pulses, it waits. This is the paradox of manifestation most people miss. The answers don't come when you ask louder. They come when you stop asking, because in the silence you remember. The question was always a bridge. The whisper is the destination. Silence sharpens your inner senses. Suddenly, synchronicities become obvious. The right people appear without explanation. You walk into the room you almost skipped and meet someone who changes your path. You choose a different route home and find the sign you needed, but none of it feels random. It feels precise, whispered, designed. This is not fantasy. This is vibration. When your inner world becomes still, your outer world stops resisting, and it begins to mold itself around your clarity. But here's the secret. The whisper only stays if you listen. The moment you rush, it fades. The moment you explain it away, it dissolves. The moment you try to control it, it vanishes. So you must learn the sacred art of receptivity, not by doing more, but by being still enough to hear. Because what you're trying to create is already calling for you. Not in shouts, not in signs, but in silence. And once you learn to trust that what you hear in the quiet is more real than what you're told in the noise, everything changes. The whisper becomes your compass. And suddenly, life stops feeling random. It starts feeling remembered. The presence that already is what you desire. There's a shift that happens when you stop chasing and start remembering. All this time you've been taught to pursue your desires as if they lived somewhere outside of you, in the distance, in the future, in someone else's approval, in the next job, the next relationship, the next version of you. But what if nothing was missing? What if everything you long for is simply waiting for you to notice it within? Manifestation isn't about pulling things toward you, it's about peeling back the layers that made you forget it was already yours. Because the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is not an empty vessel hoping to be filled. You are the source, the wellspring, the vibration that shapes reality before it ever becomes tangible. So instead of asking, how do I get there? The real question becomes, who am I being right now? Presence is not just awareness, it is embodiment. It is the felt sense that you are already living in the frequency of your desire, even if it hasn't shown up physically yet. You don't wait for the external to validate the internal. You let the internal create the external. You become the person who already has what they've asked for. And from that space, you stop needing signs. You stop needing affirmations. You stop needing to prove or convince or force. You rest. You relax into alignment. Not because you've given up, but because you finally remember there's nothing to fight for. You start walking like someone who's already free, speaking like someone who already knows, thinking like someone who's already healed, loving like someone who's already been chosen. And suddenly the world responds in kind, because the universe doesn't speak English, it speaks frequency. It doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you feel as true, not as a performance, but as a presence. That's why silence is so powerful. Because in silence there is no pretending, no scripting, no trying to impress, just you, unmasked, undistracted, fully inhabiting the space of your own soul. And in that sacred space, reality bends. You are no longer trying to become something you're not. You're simply allowing yourself to be what you've always been. Abundance in motion, love in form, presence made flesh. You don't manifest by reaching, you manifest by remembering. And that remembrance, born in stillness, is the most magnetic force in the universe. The universe hears what you don't say. There is a kind of prayer the universe listens to before words are ever spoken. It begins in the stillness, in the space between thoughts, in the quiet breath that comes after surrender. That's where the real transmission begins. You were taught to speak your desires loudly, to declare, to affirm, to ask again and again. But the deepest truths aren't shouted. They are whispered, or not said at all. They rise as a vibration long before they take the shape of a sentence. The universe doesn't respond to the noise of your voice, it responds to the clarity of your being. When you enter the silence with presence, when your desire stops being a plea and becomes a state, something changes. You stop needing to convince reality. You become reality. There's nothing louder than alignment, nothing more convincing than coherence between your body, your energy, and your belief. And that coherence often happens not in action, but in stillness. That's why the ones who seem to manifest without trying aren't always the ones speaking the most. They're the ones listening, feeling, receiving, becoming. They understand that silence isn't empty. It's full of codes, currents, alignments. It's where guidance lands, where timelines shift, where the answer arrives before the question is fully formed. So when you sit in silence, hand on heart, and feel the frequency of what you're calling in, you're not just hoping, you're anchoring. You're saying, it is already done, without ever moving your lips. You're saying, I trust life more than I trust my fear. You're saying, I am already the one. And life, which has been waiting for you to remember, responds in its own way, in its own rhythm, in its own time, which often means outside of yours. But the response comes, not always in the form you expected, but always in the frequency you embodied. Because the universe doesn't just hear your words, it hears your silence. And your silence, when filled with presence, is a command more powerful than any affirmation you could speak. So now, pause, feel. Before you speak again, ask yourself, who am I being right now? And if your being is aligned, if your silence is saturated with truth, then know this: you've already sent the signal, you've already collapsed the wave, you've already called it in, and it's already on its way. Because the moment you stopped trying to control the how, you became the why. Now, close your eyes, take one slow breath, and in the comment section, write one single word that defines who you choose to become from now on. Let the silence finish what words could never start.